Hey Dunchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and today I'll be reviewing the newest album from Grabbitz called Things Change. And Nick, can you introduce yourself?
What's up, everybody? Wait, did you call them Dunchbags? What's up, everybody? Dunchbags. It's me, Grabbitz. Thank you for subscribing to Landon and, his cool taste in music.
Nick is a friend of mine. He's been a longtime supporter of my reviews, one of the first notable artists that have actually checked out my reviews and everything. How this ended up getting set up is this story goes way back. So me and Grabbitz met at when he was opening for the Pegboard Nerds in Seattle. And during that show, when we were back in the green room, Nick had said that he had an album coming, and he wasn't entirely sure that I would love it because it wasn't really EDM at all. He said that it was very much going to be a more rock, more pop-oriented LP, much more so than the Better With Time project was, or the Friends EP on top of that. So I was regardless really excited to hear about it, and I've been looking forward to this album ever since. I've been getting updates from Nick for a while, trying to figure out when this thing would drop, and it's finally here.
I guess most importantly, overall, the album has been done for a long time. I've been super excited to share it with everybody, but a little unsure on how to present it. The double meaning in the album is that things change in life, and you can never really get too comfortable. That was learned through a hard life experience that I had to get through, and basically this was the music I was making during that time, and it also is about the departure away from some set in stone style of music, which was EDM, DJable, dubstep songs, which I couldn't let basically confine me anymore, and I'm kind of taking a leap into some new realm where people aren't really knowing what to call it, but it doesn't really matter because to me the music just is the music and I am me, and that's it, so it's a cool double meaning, I think.
When you look at the surface and you look at the name of this album, kind of what you assume is that there are going to be major changes in terms of probably the music. So the major changes I saw on this album were that this music is much more adaptable to a live performance. You've got a lot more guitar and things going throughout that, and obviously you're singing on every single track basically on this album, with exception to those interludes and things like that. So adaptable for live performance. And then the second big change is that you have, I don't want to assume anything, you've left Monstercat. Is that what
you
consider?
I don't necessarily think you can say that, but I still love Monstercat and respect the hell out of them. I think they're a great label. In terms of this particular album, I don't know if it was geared towards their fan base, which you have to keep in mind when you're thinking about the business aspect of all this shit, which I hate thinking about. But business is business, and I just try not to deal with it. I just try and focus on creating the best art I can create. I didn't really want to put the album in front of a platform that may not get it, and neither did they. So it was an amicable thing, but we're all still friends and plan on doing much business together.
Another thing that I thought about this album, though, that I thought was interesting is that a lot of things are actually, to me at least, sounded very similar. There were a lot of things that sounded similar to the Better With Time project as well as the Friends. In fact, I was getting, at least in the front end of the album, I was getting a very Friends EP vibe with it. It felt, this album overall felt to me like an electronic album with heavy rock and R&B and pop influence kind of scattered throughout that, layered over, but it very much does still feel like an electronic music album, at least to me. For example, the song Follow Me, the big lead single and the first track on this thing, it's generally structured like a dubstep song, but then you've got the big electric guitars over the top of that thing, but you still got the electronic drums and the glitchy sounds in the background and things like that. Generally, I think in the front end of this album, you're kind of going for more of a rock vibe, and that happens throughout it, but the vocals on this are still very much mixed like they would in an EDM track. Everything is very crisp, very clear, whereas in rock music, typically things would be much more gritty, I guess. Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's just kind of one thing keeping you in that same direction that you were already in. Another thing that hasn't changed, the art is still your face. Nothing wrong with that. You've got a beautiful face. Another thing I said, though, is that the drops per se are still a very much important part of this album. It's not like the drops from your old style of music has been completely eliminated, and you've switched over to like a traditional chorus. In fact, I'd say like a traditional chorus I think only happens on 1 or 2 tracks on this album.
Regardless of it, you know, it always does come down to the beat. You know, like it's just whether or not it has a good beat. And over time, the word drop got introduced, and then like the formula got introduced, and like, oh wait, that's a sick drop, that's a sick build up, that's a sick whatever. But like, you know, for Love Like That has a chorus, like a hook, like you said. But underneath the hook is just a fucking, like, if you were to take the vocals off, it's just a beat. Well, anyway, it makes me happy to hear that you didn't think it was some grand departure from Grabbitz, because that was the only thing I was afraid of. And I personally always thought that it wasn't. I'm like, this makes perfect sense. Like, I don't know why anyone's not going to get this. But I'm glad to hear that you think it's, like, progressive and cohesive with...
Oh yeah, for sure. I think this album actually, if you, I know you want to, this is your big like debut. This is your solo like debut album. So I think you did a very good job of kind of taking the sounds from your former projects and kind of combining that and being able to progress it in a new direction as well. Love Like That and Hold Steady both reminded me of songs from the Better With Time LP. I think the Hold Steady actually gave me...
It's got like a Float Away type feel.
Yeah, that's the track. And then Love Like That to me had like a cold feel to me.
Yes.
Yep. Is that what you were going for?
Not really, but same type of tempo. Like, you know, if I'm in that tempo, usually I will gravitate more towards some certain kinds of patterns and like, you know, it's just me. It's just my style.
I think the big track that really reminded me of Friends a lot was Don't Let Me Go. The build-up on that one sounds very close to like the title track on that LP or EP, and as well as Here With You Now. Still arguably my favorite song you've ever done, just because of that. The second drop is just so...
I'm glad you like it, man.
Everything feels like it's dressed to be a certain way. Like this is an electronic album, and each of these songs are kind of dressed in their own kind of categories. Like, of course, Follow Me is dressed like a metal song, I guess you'd say, and then like other ones of these tracks. I think I Might Be Going Crazy. That's very dressed like a pop song, I guess you'd say.
That's cool. I like the way that sounds, dressing like.
I think one of the biggest concepts that we originally went in going to this is me and Nick had talked about. At the beginning of the year, I was talking about wanting to improve my content a lot, and you said it would be really awesome to sit down and review your album together because it would be much more raw. So I guess a big part of that is talking about some things that I wasn't really super into. I'll be straight up, my least favorite song on the record is I Think I Might Be Going Crazy.
That's what we're pushing as hard as, well, I mean... Whatever, it's all just music.
Right. I'm not going to say like I dislike the track. In fact, on my second listen through this album, I found a lot more enjoyment in it, probably because of that bright little guitar lick that happens during the drop. But part of the reason probably that I thought that song was a little over the top for me is because the chorus section is the name of the song like repeated, and then it's also repeated throughout the verses as well. So I thought just like having a good chunk of the lyrics just being the name of the song kind of got to me a little bit. And but like I said, the general sound of that song is very nice. I think the song might have fit better in the back end of the album, because toward the beginning we get kind of the harder music. Obviously the track after it is Play This Game, and that song is much, it's got the very gritty, hard electric guitar kind of leading through the beat. I think that I might be going crazy. I feel like probably would have fit better in the back end. But I mean, like I said, it's not a bad song. I don't think there's a single bad song on this album. I think you did a very good job with this. One of my personal favorites, arguably like up there under probably my top 3, maybe even 1 on there. Of course, like I said, it's got the really gritty electric guitar kind of leading the beat. It's got the future bass synths kind of in the background of that, which points back to the more electronic music direction. And then you spit on this track as well. Like, you spit You spit good, and I
I
was
would
gonna
call
ask
that
you.
a half spit. That's a half
Half
chub
spit?
spit.
Okay. Well,
Just because it's like monotone, like I did it on purpose in monotone. I just wanted it to be super low, like I could fucking throw an all-nighter, I'm almighty. Like that's not normally how I rap. I rap like this, like I just spit you'll hear in some of my newer stuff going full-on verses, but yeah, I guess it's like a little half spit.
I was gonna ask though, regarding this song, I thought it was kind of, maybe it's because you wanted this track was one of the build-up singles, but your rap verse is censored on this song, and you're not censored anywhere else on the album, I'm pretty sure. So I was kind of confused about that.
I didn't want to. I do swear a lot, to my own fault or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't really censor myself when I'm writing, and in Play This Game, I didn't want it to feel over the top, like I was trying to fuck you all up and down the song.
Mm-hmm.
So I just censored it. And I also didn't want you to think that the first time I come out and spit, like I'm just going to throw a whole bunch of fucks on the record. So in that particular instance, I censored it. And then for like something like I Shouldn't Mind were by far like the most simple nursery rhyme lyrics on the whole record. Like, and I realized that, and I was like, all right, well then I'm gonna say I'm fucking fine in the chorus because I'm not a nursery rhyme guy. Like I'm trying to be real. So I don't know. That was like the counteraction for I Shouldn't Mind. What I'm going through, fucking woe is me. Like I just had to keep that line because I love it.
Oh, Break Me Down was another one that I thought kind of broke the formula generally that this album has, because the drop. I don't want to keep saying drop because I know that
it's good. That song definitely has a drop. If any of them do, that one does.
Mm. It's really fueled more so by the vocal chops than by it. Like, I mean, it is still like repeating the song title or whatever, but it's in a way that's very different. In fact, it's almost to the point where the vocal cuts are almost unintelligible. Like you can't really totally get, like you can get the break me down, but everything else is kind of really just chopped so much that it's really difficult. You have to really focus on it to fully get that. And I like that. I like that a lot. One of my personal favorites. I wrote a note here that said, let's talk intros and interludes, because Pretty Little Melody is the next track. That song actually reminded me quite a bit of 7614 from the Friends EP, because it's very much so fueled by the chords. But it seemed kind of odd to me to have Pretty Little Melody, a track that's so intro-oriented, like I said, very similar to 7614, kind of just stuck here in the middle of the album, because like it's in the direct middle of the album here. I think something that I might have preferred personally, kind of listening through this thing, just because that it's such like a harsh break between Break Me Down and Pretty Little Melody, is having that little sample. I don't know, what was that little sound that you used at the end of Pretty Little Melody to go into Love Like That? Yeah. I didn't know what to describe that as, but I think that might have actually stapled on very nicely to Break Me Down, and then it could have gone into Love Like That. A tragic interlude as well. I feel like we should mention this at this point. I thought it was kind of odd because listening through this album, that track goes by in like a snap, like very quickly. Personally, would have just tacked that on to what I'm going through instead of making it a separate track entirely because it's so quick.
Well, this is all attributed to one of the biggest things in the album, which is just that there are no rules. Part of keeping artistic integrity and authenticity is making those decisions and fucking standing by them, you know?
Mm-hmm. One thing that I wanted to ask about this album is which of these came first? Did you go into the album with the concept and the title, or did the title track come first? Because I was kind of wondering about that.
No, the title track didn't come first. The album was kind of in development before something tragic happened in my life, and then at it, and then a little bit after, and then that was when they got packaged. And then that made the most sense to me, because that's the true story behind it. There's no sugarcoating any of it, you know? Something just super wildly resonated with me about the concept of things change. It's something you can apply to everything when you are getting stressed about every second that's going by, and you know, you're losing time, you're wasting time. What are you doing? Are you taking life for granted? Are you living it fully? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? It's all can lead back to the theme of that things change, and you have to just roll with the punches, and you can control your own destiny and all that shit. It's just, I had a super like enlightening moment while this album was being made.
I was gonna say that the title track, Things Change, and I Shouldn't Mind, seemed, at least to me when I was listening through this thing, both tracks kind of seemed to be calling back to some kind of 80s sound a little bit. I thought Things Change seemed to be calling back to like both like 80s rock and a little bit of synthwave. I Shouldn't Mind seemed to have like a little bit of an old school synth pop kind of sound to it. I think you were probably more so going
I definitely get that. Yeah, it's all just when the track came together, it ended up taking on that kind of identity. So I just rolled with it. But Things Change. That's funny that you got 80s vibes from Things Change too. But definitely 80s vibes with I Shouldn't Mind.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists have been kind of calling back to that sound recently. I'm not saying this makes the record any less unique. You got like the 1975 really going for that right now with like the big like synth poppy sounds. I don't know, it's good stuff. I like this song a lot as well. And then of course you've got Tragic Interlude. We already talked about that. And then what I'm going through is a personal favorite of mine on this album, both lyrically and instrumentally. I think you've got a little bit of like drum and bass influence on there. That might be a callback to your Pegboard Nerds collaboration a little bit, unless I don't know which one of those came first. But
well, yeah, it basically it does take on the identity of that drum step beat, that building anticipation with drum and bass, and then dropping down to drum step. Like, I mean, some things will never change, honestly. My love for a good hard-hitting beat will never change.
And then you've got a little bit of like the acid, maybe like acid house kind of sounds toward the beginning, and I thought everything blended together. There's so many different styles kind of going throughout this thing. You got your kind of rock sounds. It's got like a very raw lyricism to it, and then of course you got like the drum and bass, drum step. You got the acid. So you've got a lot of different things working together here, and I think they managed to end up working together very nicely. A lot of different styles that you wouldn't expect would necessarily come together like this, and they did. So another one of my personal favorites on this thing. What was your personal favorite?
I think that I might be going crazy.
Okay.
It started with just the noise that plays first. So
yeah.
And then off of that came this pleasant chord structure that I really loved, and it all just happened really fast. And then there was drum beat happening, and then the drum beat had swing on it, which is like my favorite thing about the track is the boom.
Okay.
It's all got this like really heavy swing on it, so you're just like waiting for every downbeat. And I just really connect with that song. Lyrically, it poured out of me like it was nothing, and the choice to go with the odd phrasing of "I think that I might be going crazy" happened really naturally, and those are the kinds of moments as an artist that I love, when it just happens, and you don't have to sit there and think, wait, are people gonna like this lyric? Are they gonna like this? Is someone's gonna? And it just pours out. That's all I have to offer as an artist, is like my innards. Here, what I'm capable of doing with this and this and this and this and this. That's what I want you to have, like the rawest, purest form. It's never going to strike all your chords. It's never going to strike everybody's chords. It's going to strike all people's. One guy, he's going to love every track. One guy's going to hate every track. You got to just take your chances on hoping that more people like it than don't. You know?
Yeah. I mean, generally, I have a lot of respect for that. When your biggest thing, especially with this album, is that you weren't dealing with a label, and that allowed you to have more freedom and make an album that you needed to make, not an album that so-and-so, not an album that I needed, not an album that Monstercat needed, not an album whoever. You did this and on your own terms and everything. That's really cool. And this thing ended up, like, I think in the end it paid off really nicely, because it's like we've already talked about, it's a very personal record. It's very kind of out of the vein, but still in the vein of the traditional Grabbitz sound, and it comes together very nicely. I enjoyed this album a lot. Yeah, really good to get together. I'm obviously not gonna have you toss this a rating. I was kind of feeling like a light 7.5, but
Thank you so much, Landon. Man, seriously, thank you, dude. Great interview. Great talking with you about all the records and all the little intricacies.
anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of different review. Once again, thanks for Nick, aka Grabbitz, for coming out here and doing this review with me. Make sure to check this one out, guys, if you haven't yet. Of course, like I said, this is a very solid album. As always, I have the Spotify link down in the description, so you guys can listen through that if you'd like to. As always, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below if you have listened to it before. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Landon Remixes.
I'm Grabbitz. Bye.
We'll catch you later. Peace.